I've yet to ever produce one, man. 5 years in, and I've had one in my collection, except for my first. So for 4 breeding seasons, for 4 years breeding now, I've had an acid in my collection. Clearly they're fine. They're viable. People produce them all over the place. I haven't. And I'm like, I'm like, screw it. I'm out. And then I'll see another one where I'm like, that's amazing. I got to get it. And I'll buy it again. And I'll buy it. I'm like, okay, it's a fresh start. It's a new one, and I'll buy it. So like right now in my possession, probably the most loaded high-end animal I've ever owned. It's acid, black pastel, leopard, hurricane, visual clown. And then I sent the shed test in for to phenome for a panel, and it came back Het Monsoon out of the blue. So all those genes, visual clown, Het Monsoon. This boy's 2 years old. He weighs like 800 grams, 900 grams, all like perfect things. I've not seen him lock once, and I've got him slated like through the year with like, 12 females.
What all have you tried to do to entice them? Have you tried like popping the sperm plug and putting a little on the lady's back there? Or?
No, I don't. I haven't. Maybe I should. I do have a backup Het Monsoon that also has done nothing. But they're first time breeders, and like I have I should try some of the stuff. Like I've heard of, taking them on car rides helps, putting them in, and I've put them into an even smaller tub. Yeah. So
have you ever put another male shed in the tub?
No,
from another male will get your male to lock quick.
That's what I mean. I should do that stuff. I need to. Maybe I'm slacking. Maybe I need to start. What I've gotten to though is what I realized so this year I'm pairing a little bit over 50 females, which is a big number. If actually, I think it's closer to 60, but if 35 or 40 of them go, that's going to be a lot of clutches for me. That's a big number for me.
Dude. That's a lot of baby rats. You got to get ready to produce.
Yeah. But it also helps me in saying, if something doesn't go, I have, 55 others that I'm really excited about. So I don't really get caught. I get very caught up in what the process is. The process for me is at, X millimeters, I'm going to pair. I pair on Wednesdays. I separate on Saturdays. I feed on Monday. They rest on Tuesday. I pair again on Wednesday. So I kind of keep up. I'm a real process driven and systems guy. And so I focus on the process. I try and do all the little things right, and then I'll let it be. So, I should think outside of that box, but I get so like blinders on in that box that I'm not like, you know what? When I separate them on Sunday this week, I need to take them for a ride kind of deal. I just don't think that way. And I should. It's a limitation on my own. But yeah, I might throw in a shed. I might give that a shot. The sperm plug thing, I do think it would work. I just don't want to take the sperm, and I think it's actually like called a casing instead of I think it's a hemipene casing versus an actual sperm plug, but it's the same thing we're talking about. I don't want that to interfere with that male breeding, like the one that I take it off of, like my males that are producing the casings or sperm plugs or whatever. I've got plans for them. So I don't want to mess them up. So I just left them alone. But like I say, I'm just super process driven. And if it's next year that they go, it's next year that they go. It's not.
I've even heard of people putting a male snake in a bag, closing the bag and putting your breeder in there, and then he's like, "No, this is mine."
That's correct. Yeah, I've heard that too. So like, there's things I could try. I haven't gotten there yet. I haven't felt like the desperation. Now, if I were at a place where I had 3 males and I had 15 females, and one of the males wasn't going, that'd be a whole different story.
Yeah.
like I say, there's going to be hits and misses. Of course, it's some of the ones that I look most forward to, but uh, things come and go. There's ups and downs. I think you hear like sports guys talk about like don't get too caught up on the highs and don't get stuck in the lows. Like there's going to be things. Just stick with the process, trust it, and know that it works. If you're tweaking something, tweak the process rather than the individual. So that's just what works for me. But I'm not above taking this banger of a male on a little car ride or throwing a different shed in there. That's for sure, man.
Man, what are you sipping on over there, Adam?
Let me think tonight. Oh, this is a Cabernet from Washington, Chateau Ste. Michelle, and a vineyard called Indian Wells. I really like this wine, and it's like $14 a bottle. Really delivers bang for its buck. Washington Cabernets, hidden gems of American winemaking.
That's outstanding. So, what's the mistake that from a business? What's a mistake you see some of these newer breeders that make as they're coming up?
I'm always hesitant to criticize people because we all got to find our way and we all have our own challenges. So let me start by saying a resource I might have, somebody else might not have, or resources that I saw other people having, I don't have. I have very good friends that when they started, they invested $100,000 and built a facility and bought some exceptionally high-end animals. That has never been an option for me and probably never will be. So we can't get the mistake I see is getting caught in the comparison trap. What's somebody else doing? Oh, I can't do that. Or they're ahead of me. So what? They're in their own.
Yep.
They're half a country away. They're in a different state. There's if you go to a reptile show and look around the room, it is the widest range of people. There's an appetite for every flavor. For every person that isn't interested in that person that you think is doing better than you, they could be interested in you, and vice versa. There's going to be buyers that click with me that don't click with other people. You know what I mean? And so it's hard because in the world of social media, all we do is get shown banger after banger. What shows up in our feeds? The things with the most likes. What gets the most likes? The most amazing stuff. And we start to think everybody is just doing this amazing stuff and we're doing junk. And that's not the case. What combats that is being happy doing what you're doing. So don't worry about who's selling what for what price. Worry about, does your business model work for you? My business model to start with was selling banana and banana enchi combos. I made enough money on those that I could buy another snake or two of another breeder for the next year. Then I bred 7 or 8 or 9 clutches, made a little bit of money on that, reinvested kind of deal. So for me, it was always, I had to have money coming in before I would have money going out. And they're still close friends to this day. And they're not wrong. They were just right for them. They weren't right for me. I have very good friends that always said, hey, you're going to miss out. You got to, 5 years ago, you should be spending your money on a sunset right now. It was right for them. I didn't have 10 grand to spend on a sunset or to get a deal at 6 grand. That wasn't the case. I don't know what people think of me, but that is not in my wheelhouse. However, now I am working things like a 4-codom visual clown hat monsoon that I hope gets to work. But I could tell you that money came in before it ever went out the door. So to answer your question, the mistake I see is people trying to keep up with everybody else rather than looking at what resources do you have, what are you available and comfortable with, and what is going to be okay for you to go do. You can't take care of snakes if you're, homeless and you put yourself in debt and then mentally, so you're financially broke, mentally you're dissatisfied because you look around and you didn't accomplish what what the algorithms don't show us is what everybody missed is
Mhm.
the acid confusion that I can't get to eat that died. That didn't nobody knew about that. They don't hear that stuff. And everybody thinks that it's just this wildly successful world out there when really we're all bumbling around, experimenting, testing, trying things out, figuring out what works for us as we get through life. And so only be responsible. Don't be a slave to social media as far as what other people are doing. If you want to do that to promote your own brand, by all means, grind and hustle and do everything you can to get ahead. But getting caught up in who's going to get rich and how you're going to buy a this many dollar animal and make that many dollar. There is a business aspect to it, but start with what you love because it's a long road to figure out. And I've only figured out one path. There's a million different paths. I know what worked for me and I can only share what worked for me.
Right, 100%. Hey, Adam, we're gonna
Yeah.
run off to a break real quick, and
Okay,
then we'll be right back.
cool.
Stay tuned.
Operation Deeds, Not Words 2 is dedicated to empowering and uplifting disabled veterans and first responders through unwavering support, meaningful resources, and real opportunities that honor their service and sacrifice. Our mission is to build a thriving, impactful organization driven by the shared vision, commitment, and accountability of our team, because when we work together, there is no ceiling on what we can accomplish.
We are equally committed to the growth of our team members, actively encouraging them to expand their voices, followings, and businesses as essential pillars of our mission. Being part of Operation Deeds, Not Words reflects great credit upon our members, uniting communities in the Fat Man Nation. Green Line morphs under a shared purpose rooted in service, resilience, and action-driven impact. Deeds, not words.
ReptileAds.com is the modern marketplace for buying and selling reptiles, amphibians, and exotic pets. Built by Purple Turtle Technologies, we're creating the most trusted platform in the industry. Join thousands of breeders and collectors on the most trusted reptile marketplace. List your animals, connect with buyers, and grow your business with Reptile Ads. Enjoy our easy access to stores as well as a genetic calculator for your convenience. Stop by and check us out today.
This side of ball pythons.
Sorry, man. We were both muted. I didn't hear any of that. I apologize, man.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah. Now I can.
Okay, all
I
right,
was
cool.
trying to tell you were muted, and then I looked down and saw I was muted. So we were both muted, talking to each other. So I didn't hear anything from the break forward. I'm sorry, man.
No worries. So we'll do those last three commercials 15 minutes before we wrap up the show.
Okay.
And, I wanted to ask you one more business question, and then I kind of wanted to jump into maybe your rodents and ask questions about that as well.
Yeah, man.
All right, cool. So, how do you approach pricing? Are you playing the long game, or are you trying to move animals fast to keep things flowing?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay. Here's my thought on that. I like talking in analogies because I'm unsure of myself, but the analogy that I'll make, I'm very sure of. So like the highest end steakhouses in America, and everything with me goes back to either music or food, my two like careers and passions.
Same here.
So the highest end steakhouses in America, almost invariably, they still have a very inexpensive wine by the glass, generally called White Zinfandel, that they sell. And the reason they sell it is because people like it and the profit margin is through the roof. I haven't purchased alcohol wholesale as a purveyor in about 6 years now. However, when I was, I could buy, if I bought it by the case and I bought like 4 cases, I could buy Behringer White Zin for $4.25 a bottle, and I would sell it for $7 a glass. So, just do some quick math. I was spending $4.25 to generate $35 in revenue. Okay. So massive, massive markup percentage.
Wow.
Yeah. Right. So almost, not almost, bang on 900% profit markup. Now, my highest end wines, I was lucky to mark up 1.5 times on the very, very high end. I go through all that not because I want to make an alcohol lecture, but because sometimes you want to make bananas in volume and move a bunch of those so that you can afford to buy the breeder super gravel Kodam clown that is going to move you forward next year. Now, you can either write the check yourself for that banger of a female, or you can find your own version of your white Zinfandel that funds everything else. The white Zinfandel is what funds being able to buy the Wagyu or Kobe steak. It's what funds being able to buy all of those other vintage, high-end, $1,000 bottles of wine. That company needs cash flow, and the cash flow is white Zinfandel. So on that, I love banana clowns. I still think they're beautiful looking. I get chills talking about them. If you didn't tell me what price they were, I would say that they're some of the most beautiful animals that have ever existed on planet Earth. I don't care what their price is. They're amazing looking. So if they're amazing looking and I can get, for me, the sweet spot is if I could get between $300 and $500 for an animal, I will do that all day long. And I need to do like 70 to 80% of my business in the $300 to $500 range. 10% can be wholesale under it, and 10% can be the multi-$1,000 Ultramel clowns. And maybe I'll hit a cool visual monsoon, het clown, het acid. I'll make a little bit of money on that, but I'm going to hit 1 or 2 of those at best if this thing goes on a car ride, So like, don't be too proud to figure out how you're going to have white Zinfandel. Ruth's Chris has it. It's okay. Like I say, Morton's, the steakhouse, they have it. The Tinley Steakhouse, Primal Cut, they got it. Like,
that's amazing.
It's great, right? That's how I look at it. So short game, move animals, get the slam dunks. And here's the cool thing too. If somebody's buying a banana clown, that's like one level up from just a banana or a bell. Banana clown, like that person could actually breed that animal. And like if they got a good female banana clown, say you got a banana clown Enchi, you could put really cool clown combos to that in the future. You could buy a Cypress male in 2 years and then be like, this is a fun hobby. Let me make a
Cypress.
Let me make a Cypress Enchi banana clown in my first breeding year. Like that's a killer outcome, like that's fertile ground for more people in the hobby. Somebody who's going to come back to you to seek advice. If you give them good advice in the first place, maybe buy that Cypress male from you. Like I'm cool with that. That works for me. I'm not experienced at selling $5,000 to $10,000 snakes. I wish I was. I can't tell you how to do that. I'm a little scared of trying to do that, to be honest with you. But I still think it all stands true. If it's a beautiful animal that's sought after and able to reproduce some portion of what it is in the next generation, buyers are going to be very liable to want it. The less you have to explain about how cool a snake is, the easier it's going to be to sell.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Man, I don't know, man. Your analogy on the wine thing just hit spot on right there, bro. You freaking nailed it.
You talked about moving over to the rodents. It's the same thing, man. The profitability margin, if we could buy buyers and if the local laws allow you to flourish and there's a lot of ifs, And if you want to scrape rat poo all day, that's a big if too. But if you could produce them and you could sell them, the profit margin on rodents is quite nice, man.
When it's 60 cents to make a whole ass small, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. From
Yeah.
Betty, look, I had rodent racks from ARS in a 900-foot facility, square foot facility.
Yeah.
Boy, hey, the water line breaks, you got flood outs, you got, the AC went down, it's middle of summer, like mid-August, and you're like, oh my God, they're all gonna die.
Yeah, it's not without peril, and again, none of it's easy. None of this is a get rich quick. This isn't, rodents and white zen are how we paid the bills. That's not how we got rich. That's how we were able to go back to work the next day, kind of deal.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't get, man. Like, I don't know if they're like that in your area now because you're producing your own, but I went to a couple of shows, man, and dudes had mediums for $10.
ASFs or rats?
Rats, Norwegians.
That's pretty expensive. They're not that much.
That's expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, but I will say, the local pet stores here, the reptile shops, they sell ASFs for $10. So when I mark my large ASF at $5 a pop, I look like a hero, and I'm still making a lot of money, man. I mean, a 10 large ASF order is not uncommon. That's $50. And if you have somebody that will buy that from you every week, that's $2,500 a year.
You ship?
I don't ship. No, it's a live only. And sorry, I got to give credit where it's due. For any frozen rodents, I refer everybody to Cold Blooded Cafe. I only sell live and I only sell ASFs. I don't breed mice or rats. So it's what I want for my needs, and I sell the extras, but I'm ramping up just because of how I can't meet the demand. And I'm thankful. I am thankful that those pet stores do charge those prices, because it allows a window for me. If those pet stores, if those pet stores went down to $4 a rodent, I would only breed for my own needs. I'd stop selling. I couldn't compete with it.
Right. Yeah, we ain't even allowed to have live ASFs in the state of Missouri.
I know. That's why I was like, well, sometimes, there's business circumstances that are different for everybody, but yeah, that's a shame.
The only one thing I saw about those things is that you can get a permit from the state wildlife office, but they almost never, ever give one for an ASF.
Yeah, but then what happens? Like, who are you going to sell? Oh, you can only sell them frozen then, right?
Yeah, it'd be frozen. Definitely be frozen. But I mean, for me personally, I'd rather feed them to my snakes. I don't like feeding Norwegians to the snakes. I think they're just too much fat.
Yeah, here's my thing. I don't disagree with that. I just don't know enough. I haven't done any studies on and I haven't read any. I've done no research on it. I like it. They eat the ASFs. I'm good with them. They do well. I am highly allergic to rodents, and ASFs are the easiest on my allergies. So like mice and rats, you'll see me. It's funny. Some of the rat breeders here, when I go check out their facility, like they laugh at me. They're like, "Oh, 10 minutes in, Adam's down." Like I'm done. And in a typical.
You wear a respirator, Adam?
Yeah, I do wear a respirator when I'm at my facility. If I go to somebody else's, I don't bring it. So I don't know about the body composition and stuff. However, I do like feeding. Like I feed a lot of frozen rats, Norwegians, because so if it's something I'm holding back and it's going to be mine, I generally only feed it live ASFs. If it's something I'm going to sell, I actually try and feed it frozen rats, because that's what most buyers would like to have. Right. Yes. So those are my two avenues. But it's funny because people will ask me, well, hey, can you sell me frozen ASFs? I've never frozen an ASF. I've never produced enough that I couldn't sell or couldn't feed. So I've never frozen an ASF.
Right. Yeah, it's a little bit of a process, man. If you make your little CO2 chamber just right, they just go right to sleep.
Right. What's funny though, as far as the process, the other thing I found is people expect to pay less for frozen ASFs than they do live. And I'm like, it's more work. Why am I going to do more work and take less money? I
Hey,
don't want to do that.
getting a full tank, like, I mean, big full tank of CO2 is not cheap.
Yes, sir. I do know a little bit about that from my, again, from the restaurant days of kegs and kegerators. And yeah, man,
Yeah,
it's
your
all,
tax.
yeah, it's all more money and more work. I don't need to do it. I don't want to do it. And I'm not going to take less money for it. See ya. Buy them from somebody. Let somebody else do that, man. Not me. Thank you.
Yeah. So, so you kind of answered the question I was going to ask. So I'm going to go to the next question. What's something about running a rattery that most people don't understand until they're actually doing it?
Well, the dust, I'll tell you that. Oof, man, the dust that rodents create. So, rodents, by definition of them being called rodents, so rabbits, beavers, squirrels, they have to rats, ASFs, they have to constantly gnaw because their teeth grow throughout their life. So they gnaw incessantly. They gnaw on their food, they gnaw on whatever piece of thing you put in their container for them to gnaw on. They gnaw on their container, they gnaw on their bedding. There
Yeah.
is dust everywhere. Like you can't get away from it. And I have so much exhaust running through the facility. I have plastic curtains like a walk-in cooler in a restaurant would have, which separates the dust and some of the temperatures. And it does a good, actually, that's a useful hack. Like you guys could, if you have a problem with dust, put those things at the beginning, at the front of your door. It's like $30 you could buy on online, but
Worth the investment, though.
oh, big time. But
Yeah.
keeping things clean is very, very difficult. And rodent math is exceptionally difficult. People will say, like, I have X number of snakes. How many rodents do I need to be breeding? I'm like, man, I don't know. But what I do tell people that's an eye opener is, let's say you feed one snake a large ASF once a week. Here's, it's not easy, but let's just use that example. In an ASF that takes a long time to grow up, that's probably a 10-week-old ASF at a large, maybe 12. Let's just say 10 for easy math. That means you have to have 9 weeks worth of holdbacks behind that one for it to make sense for you to feed that snake that week and not plan to buy another ASF. Now multiply that by 10, 15, 20, 30, 100, 300 snakes that you have. Rodent math gets really, really weird because not only do you need to have those held back, you need to have them at the right size. It doesn't, if you have 9 hoppers for that, that means you got 8 weeks that snake isn't going to eat, or that you're going to have to find different food. Or here's what really happens. You feed 3 of your weans because you didn't have the large. Well, now you're missing out on the weans that were going to be larges in 5 weeks. It's bonkers. You need way more than you think you need is the answer. I don't know about rats and mice, but ASFs, you need way more than you think you need.
When I first started doing this, someone had told me to have a one female rat per female ball python.
That's the closest, best answer I've ever heard. And maybe more. Maybe you need like 1.5 just for insurance. But yes, that's the closest I've gotten on it, and I agree with that.
Oh yeah, man. Let's see. Is there any advice you would give to someone who was thinking